this the My Rant segment? That's every segment is the My Rant segment. Is this a My Rant segment? Maybe. There might be... My might get mentioned during this segment. I'll try my best not to make it a My Rant, though. We'll see. Okay, let's do the intro first. So, Viper has been out now for almost a week. A little bit less than a week. And I think it's time for me to give my thoughts on Sea Viper. As usual, I'm going to split this into two halves, which I do with every DLC character. I'm going to talk about the things I really like about Viper, and some of the stuff that I don't like about Viper. And lastly, I have to do the disclaimer that I always do. This is not going to be about tier lists or like competitive viability, really. This is more about just vibes, kind of how fun the character is to play, how satisfying, how rewarding she is to play. Also, please hit that subscribe button and let's get on with the video. Let me start off with the things I like about this character. So, number one, Capcom kept her execution, but did a good job of scaling it back to Street Fighter 6 standards. So what I mean by that is, I really like the way that they kind of found a middle ground with this character, where she still has the feints and the jump cancels and stuff, but they are a lot easier, but still hard by Street Fighter 6 standards. So she still has a nice sense of like satisfaction to play, even when you do simple stuff like this. Just a basic jump cancel in neutral like that. It's not very complicated, but it feels good. And it also gives her combos like a nice rhythm. Like it's fun to just lab some stuff with her like this. It feels good. It feels good. She has a really sort of satisfying control scheme in this game that I think feels like Viper. I think that's the most important thing. It feels like I'm playing the same character from Street Fighter 4. It's a slightly different version, but it still definitely feels like I'm playing Viper right now, which is good. So that I really like that aspect of her. Number two, and probably my single favorite thing about this whole character is this. A level 1. I think this might be my favorite super in the entire game because of the way this thing is designed. So if you guys don't know, the level 1 is just a level 1 if it hits like that. What I'm really talking about here is the install. So once you use this level 1, it starts a timer. And while that timer is active, basically all of her super jumps no longer consume drive. And also all of the extensions that you can do at the end of her burn kick and thunder knuckle, like this stuff, it would normally cost 1 bar, they also become free. It's a simple effect, but it makes her a really, really interesting character while the level 1 is active, and it completely changes how you use her kit. So for example, Viper's down medium kick is one of her best pokes in neutral. I'm not the biggest fan of the animation, as I've said in the past, but this is one of her best buttons. And you can actually convert off this thing, but you need to do super jump cancel EX Seismo like this. And then to convert off that, you have to do a super jump. And then to convert off that, you have to do the heavy Thunder Knuckle follow-up. So something like this, you can do that combo outside of install. Like, the combo is still available to you. It's not like the install unlocks the combo, but that combo is almost never worth going for in a neutral state, because look how much drive this costs. That is almost a 5-bar combo off a stand medium kick. But if you have the level 1 active, that 5-bar investment is now 1.5. So this suddenly gets unlocked as like an amazing conversion while the level 1 is active. So it completely changes the way that you approach like her combo structure. And it's not just combos as well, it's also pressure. It also makes her burnout pressure turn amazing if you have the execution for it. You can do stuff like this. Now, first of all, this is just fun to lab. It just feels good doing this. But also, this is actually really good in burnout. It does great chip damage, and it's also uninterruptible with anything except for level 2s and level 3s. This will beat level 1s. Stuff like that. I think the thing about the level 1, and what okay, I said I was going to bring up Mai eventually. The reason that I like Viper's level 1 so much more than Mai's level 1 is because Viper's level 1 doesn't give her any new tools. It doesn't give her like a brain dead way to get in for free or anything like that. It doesn't just instantly upgrade her into like a S+++ tier character. all the level 1 does is it lets her use her existing tools more freely, which I really like. So all of the things that you can do in level 1, you can also do outside of level 1. It's just much more expensive, which I think is a really interesting way to handle it. As opposed to, like, I've got flame stocks active, so now every single time I throw a fan at you, I just get plus frames. That was +5. Like, I'm just a better character now. All my tools are just better. I don't like that. So yeah, I really like her level 1. I think it has a really satisfying difficulty curve. It's fun to use. It feels good. And I think it's balanced well against the rest of her supers. So easily my favorite install super in the game. Number 3 on my list of things that I really like about Sea Viper is the completely unique thing she has, which is that Sea Viper is the only character in the entire game who has a special cancelable crouch medium kick, but not a drive rush cancelable crouch medium kick. Because if you want to special cancel her crouch medium kick, you are forced to do a jump cancel. And you cannot do a jump cancel into a drive rush. You can only do it into specials. She's the only character in the entire game that can't mindlessly buff a crouch medium kick drive rush, but she can still convert off crouch medium kick if she wants to. And she can get good conversions off it. And it also makes it more satisfying. Like, when I land combos with Viper from crouch medium kick, I actually feel like I kind of earned it. And whenever I land, like, crouch medium kick drive rush with other characters, it doesn't feel earned at all. It feels like I was just buffering, and either way, I would get plus frames or a combo. So yeah, I really like this. I kind of wish that every character had this limitation, but now it's only Viper that has this. Okay. Next thing I really like about Viper, kind of a continuation of what I was mentioning earlier in terms of how rewarding she feels, is her drive management. So Viper's drive gauge management is completely unique among every character in this game. And that's because, like I said, her jump cancels and also her follow-up specials all use 1 bar of drive, which means that you have to completely kind of rewire your brain when you're considering how to route combos for this character, and pressure as well. You constantly have to account for the fact that you're periodically using up these little 1 bar drive extensions, and it's very hard when you first start. When I first picked up this character, I was like, holy shit, I don't know how to not go into burnout every 3 seconds. But as you start to get used to it, you realize that her drive system is really cool once it all starts to click. And it's what I especially like is that although these extensions cost 1 bar of drive, the really cool thing for me is that they actually refund a surprising amount of drive. So for something like that, normally that would be a 2 bar combo, but because they've relaxed the drive recovery on these things, it's actually 1.5. So she's a little bit less drive hungry than you might expect. This is technically a 2 bar combo, but in practice it's 1.5. So stuff like this is really satisfying. Just managing her drive gauge in a way that isn't constantly putting you in burnout is very, very rewarding, I think. It's cool. And my last thing on my things I like list for Sea Viper is her anti-airs. So I already praised Sagat for this. She kind of has the Sagat thing again, which is that she has 2 good anti-airs, one of which is very consistent but low damage, which is Heavy Knuckle. So if you want like an extremely consistent, reliable kind of DP style anti-air, you can just do this. That will work pretty much every time. But if you want to be a bit more risky and go for a slightly less reliable anti-air, but one with more reward, you can anti-air with stand heavy kick and then do a jump cancel into a juggle. So you can do stuff like this, which feels very good to land and is also very rewarding. So it's kind of similar to Sagat, where she has the choice on reliable but low damage versus less reliable but more reward, which is a thing I like a lot. Alright, I guess now I gotta move over to the stuff that I don't like. Number 1 is her execution doesn't feel quite as rewarding compared to Street Fighter 4, which might seem contradictory to what I was just saying. But this is kind of a difficult point to explain, but I feel like usually in fighting games, when a character has a very high execution requirement, the bonus to offset that is usually that you get like extra rewards that other characters don't, as a reward for learning how to do the difficult stuff like super jump cancels and things, right? I feel like in this game, the high execution for Viper doesn't make her better, it just makes her as good as other characters. Like, it's necessary to bring her up to a baseline rather than to go further, which I'm not sure how I feel about. So as an example, the combo with a bunch of feints, something like this. Something like that. Now that combo it's not nightmarishly difficult, like that is reasonably consistent, but it's one of the less simple combos in the game. And my reward for doing that combo, which had like, I don't know, like 5 feints in it or whatever, is 6,000 damage with a full cash out. Let's compare that real quick. So like if you just fart out like a B&B with Ryu where you just do heavy drive rush 3 times, this actually does slightly more damage. This did 200 more damage. I mean, Ryu is maybe a slightly exaggerated example because we know that he hits like a truck, but even still, I do feel like Viper's execution doesn't feel quite as rewarding in this game. Like, the thing is, in Street Fighter 4, Viper's execution requirements were well balanced against her overall strength. And what I mean by that is that, theoretically, in a world where you have, like, perfect execution, you have the hands of a robot, Street Fighter 4C Viper was, like, theoretically, like, S++ tier character. She was arguably, like, the best character in the game, but in practice, there was almost nobody that could unlock that level of her potential because she just demanded such high-level execution. Okay, so let me move on to the next thing, and this is kind of a continuation of the previous point. So, I don't feel like Viper's execution is that rewarding as a combo tool, but like also I don't feel like her execution is that rewarding as a pressure tool either. So one of the weird decisions, and maybe this was intentional, this is probably Capcom trying to prevent her from being too strong and maybe shaving her kit down a little bit too much. Viper does not have a single feint cancel with either feint that is plus on block. So if you do like crouch fierce feint, that's -1. If you do stand fierce super jump feint, so that costs a bar, that's 0. That's also 0. This is -2. So even if you spend a bar of drive doing super jump cancel feint like this, the best you can possibly hope for is 0. And Seismo is even worse. Like Seismo feint is... So even a Seismo feint is like -10. So I feel like it's difficult to get people to stop mashing. Like you could spend a lot of time drilling this out until you have this like consistently. But again, it doesn't feel that rewarding right now because none of her feint cancels, even the ones that cost drive, are plus. The best you can get is 0, which might be necessary for balance reasons. I don't know, we'll see. Again, this is not really a tier list video type thing, but it feels a little bit unsatisfying that I have to do a super jump cancel into a feint cancel to be 0 when, you know, most of the best characters in this game just have simple ways of giving themselves plus frames. Like, for example, Bison. Do you want to know how Bison makes himself +1 at this distance? He presses heavy punch. That's it. That's how Bison gives himself plus frames. Whereas if I do a heavy punch into a super jump cancel into a feint cancel, I get 0. I don't know. It's a little bit unsatisfying, but it's maybe not a big deal. Okay. Next thing I don't really like about Viper, and this is going to be a weird one because this is a thing that I don't like, even though it's actually very strong. I have to mention it. I know I always harp on about this. I'm a broken record at this point. Next thing on my list is Viper's throw loop. So Viper is +7 after a forward dash in the corner, point blank, which is one of the best throw loops in the game. It's up there with some of the strongest throw loops in the game. Also, as well as dash being +7, if you just do medium burn kick here, it hits Meaty and leaves her +2 at the perfect distance. This is the perfect spacing on this +2 because you can shimmy or you can not. So she has multiple ways of giving herself plus frames here. And the reason I don't like this is the same reason that I don't like any throw loop, but the reason that I bring it up specifically for Viper, the reason that I mention her throw loop is mainly because I felt like the game was going in a certain direction with regards to throw loops after Sagat and Elena both came out. And Sagat and Elena both have throw loops that are limited to drive rush only. And then Viper drops and she just goes straight back to having one of the best throw loops in the game. It's just disappointing to see. It's very strong, you know, this is a good tool in her kit. It's one of her best assets, is her corner pressure is amazing. But from maybe a cope about the new direction the game was taking, I'm a little bit disappointed that she has a really good throw loop. But that's just me. Okay, last two complaints I have about Viper are both kind of nitpicks. They're not a big deal, but I'm just not especially fond of them. Number one, I don't know if this is something that Capcom is maybe going to fix or change going forward, but some of her super jump cancels in this game feel kind of weird and a little bit inconsistent, a little bit janky. So like, for example, if I do something like stand heavy kick, super jump cancel, thunder knuckle like this is really easy, right? I can hit this every single time. It's very consistent. The input just works reliably. For some reason, there are certain super jump cancels that are extremely finicky, and I still don't really know why. So like, the main one is this. A lot of people have struggled with this one. I've been labbing it a bit to try and get more consistency, as you can see. But for some reason, like that, stand heavy kick into ground EX burn kick from a super jump cancel feels extremely precise in a way that like none of her other cancels really are. I don't know why this one is so precise. I don't know if it's because of other parts of her kit. Maybe they don't want you getting like accidental air EX burn kick, something like that, but there's something very weird going on with a couple of her cancels, which I feel like could probably use a little bit of unifying. Because like this one's really easy and this one's really hard, and it's not clear why. So yeah, it's not a balance issue. It just feels a bit janky, you know? She could probably use a little bit of polish when it comes to like some of her inputs. Okay, and my final nitpick is this move right here, Focus Force, or whatever it's called, the focus attack thing. Why the hell does this thing lose to DI? This is just purely a nitpick. This move is a counter, right? So if you attack Viper while she's in this stance, she will go into the follow-up. And I've had a lot of people tell me the use case for this move is it's a good defensive option. For example, if you're in burnout, to which I say lol, comma lamau, because like if I actually try and use it like that, this happens. So like, please make this an armor breaking move. I don't know why this loses to DI. Most counters in this game are armor breakers, specifically to make them usable for this function, but her focus just gets obliterated by DI. The confusion, I think, is coming from the fact that it'll beat raw DI. So if my opponent just raw DIs, I can counter it like this. That does work. But the thing is, when people try and stun you in burnout, they don't usually do raw DI. They'll do something like heavy into DI, in which case the heavy is the bit that gets eaten, and then you just die. So yeah, I think the first hit of her counter probably should be an armor breaker, just because of how bad this feels. But again, it's not a big deal, just slightly annoying. Anyway, in conclusion, just to wrap things up, I think Viper is a really cool character. I like her a lot. I'm actually going to keep playing her. Now, before you ask the question, has the streamer dropped Aki? The answer is no. I am still an Aki player, but I still want to keep practicing Viper. Usually when I do these videos, I say like, I've played this character for a week. I feel like I understand them now, and I'm going to move on to something else. With Viper, even though I've played her for a week and got her up to like, where are we? Nearly 2 KMR. I still feel like I don't really get how her kit all fits together that well. So I'm going to keep playing her for a little while. I'm curious to see how she develops. But I am still, for the foreseeable future, an Aki player. But I do think she's a lot of fun. She's definitely fun, and she feels like Viper, which is the most important part. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you like this version of Viper? Do you hate her? Do you want to see her changed at all? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys all in the next video.